Forget what you've heard about serial killers. Forget the movies, podcasts, and stories in the media of infamous psychopaths like Jeffrey Dahmer and Ted Bundy. I'm going to show you what exists beyond all of that, and you'll hear from the source, the killers themselves. My name is Phil Chalmers, and this is Where the Bodies Are Buried.
That devil is on my side, getting you away from me. That devil don't waste no time, he gonna set me free.
My sister started screaming after I first put the knife into her. All I could think is I wanted them to stop screaming, and that's why so many of them ended up being killed, is because they were screaming.
Joining me is my producers, Adam and Samantha.
The night of July 22nd, 2015, a call came in to the 911 dispatch in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. When first responders arrived, the first thing they saw were pools of blood on the front porch. Inside, they heard a 13-year-old girl screaming, "Save me, save me." She had been stabbed repeatedly, her throat was slit, and she clung to life. Who could have committed such a horrific act? Robert Bever, who was only a teenager at the time, did. With help from his brother, he brutally murdered 5 of his family members. In this episode of Where the Bodies Are Buried, we speak with Robert about these unthinkable crimes that resemble something straight from a horror film. We find out what provoked him and led him to murder his own family, including young siblings. Robert Bever will forever sit in prison where he belongs, with only time to reflect on what he's done.
Salute. Hey everyone, it's me, Cult Empire. In case you didn't know, you found me by accident, or you're expecting someone else. Yeah, why would you do that? Anyway, this is the second first ever update, which I think is a major improvement. I tried a news report theme last time, that's not very vloggy, is it? So I'm being a little more chillinated, writing stuff, scripting. I'm going to make my first skit soon. Can't show you a sneak preview or it would ruin it. It'll be like a minute long. It's going to be some good stuff. I think it's going to be hilarious. It's going to have a few props in it, which is the only delay. So, props for props. Non-profit organization. I don't know. I just came up with that. That would be weird if there actually was one. I came up with a couple of songs. They aren't parodies, though. They're some intense gangster rap type stuff I came up with when I was listening to someone's mixtape. About that. Yeah. I had a parody song, but it's probably offensive, so I'm never going to upload it. Now I'm having to write a whole new parody song. You can't explain that. Man, write a song. Just writing a song. I got that creativity juices flowing. Alright, I also found out that Minecraft is compatible with Windows 8. I heard. I don't know how reliable that is, but it turns out it's just my laptop is a Compaq I've had for about 4 years, and its graphics drivers are hopelessly outdated, so, speaking of hopelessly outdated, Minecraft 0.6.0 turned out to be a bomb in a bad way. Everyone knows that by now. But my brother lost his Ultimate Survival World because of the 0.6.0 Pocket Edition world saving glitch. It was awesome. The whole world had been mined out. It was a full-blown city with streets and neighborhoods and a big city center with skyscrapers and hot dog vendors and mimes and pollution. Or maybe I was just cleaning out my closet. The pollution fumes went to my head. I'm going to cry man the tears to that. But knowing him, my brother, he'll probably jump right back on that and rebuild, so props for that. Props for that. And prosper. Yeah. I think I'm on something there. New rap. Okay. Anyway, confusing outro.
Use charges, press 2. If you would like to thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
Hello?
Hey, you there?
Hey, man, they're working on the roof, and so earlier I tried to call you, and it said that I could only make a debit call.
Yeah.
And so it took the money off, and then I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, you called a couple times and I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, that was, man, we never had any problems with GTL. This new phone system is retarded.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's talk about your case. So you are in prison. How old are you right now, Robert?
I'm 24.
And how long have you been in prison?
I've including jail time, I've been in for almost 6 years now.
And you have a life sentence with no parole, correct?
Yeah, I have 5 lives without parole plus 4 lives with parole, all running consecutive.
We have breaking team coverage this evening. One of the brothers accused of murdering his 5 family members in Broken Arrow will spend the rest of his life in prison. We start with 2 Works For You reporter Darcy Jackson at the Tulsa County Courthouse with the decision. Darcy?
Well, Brian, there's no chance that Robert Bever, the older of the 2 teens charged with the deaths of their family, will ever leave prison. Earlier this afternoon, Robert Bever entered a guilty plea during his arraignment. A statement to the court, he said he and his younger brother Michael acted together in the murder of his parents, and he was taking responsibility for those acts. His attorneys say he agreed to the conditions and was prepared to go into court today with this plea. Now, the agreement saves Bever from the death penalty.
This is a tragedy of immeasurable dimensions. However, our client probably will have an easier life in the penitentiary than he had at home. I don't have any further comment on that.
Now, District Attorney Steve Kunzweiler says he was prepared for a death penalty case, but after hearing the request of the surviving Bevers to put Robert in prison for life, he says the grueling effects of a death case were not necessary.
The determining factor for me was I have a surviving teenage young girl and a toddler, and those children deserve a lot. And I am not going to saddle them with what I know the reality of a death penalty case to be.
Now, Robert Bever still has 10 days to change his plea. His attorneys do not believe that will happen. His younger brother, Michael's attorneys, filed a motion to dismiss his charges today, but a judge did uphold a not guilty plea for him. More on what's next for him coming up at 6. In downtown, Darcy Jackson, 2 Works For You.
So the chances of you getting out, unless there's a miracle, you're probably not going to get out, right?
Exactly, yeah.
How do you deal with that? How do you have to come to terms with that? Do you have to settle with that? Like this is going to be your reality for the rest of your life?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty good at adapting to situations. When I was younger, all I really wanted was one room that I could do everything in and live in all the time, and now I have it. So it's actually been really easy for me in prison. I guess I spend a lot of time inside my head, and so I'm not really worried about it. But, you know, as far as thinking of it as punishment, I would have considered the death penalty punishment. I don't consider this punishment. I consider it a safety precaution, you know, because I'm not a functioning member of society. Mm-hmm. So I'm okay with it, though. I try not to think about it too much. There was this OG who died recently. He'd been in for 50 years. He told me just don't think about it. Otherwise, they'll drive you up the wall.
Drive you crazy, right?
Yeah.
So I talk a lot about warning signs, and I'm really into trying to stop teen violence, and I talk a lot about the causes, the triggers, and the things. And you and I have chatted before, and you said there were some things that happened in your life that were warning signs, but your parents didn't take them serious. What were a couple of those incidents that happened, and what should have been a warning sign?
I mean, when I was younger, I never looked up to the people who committed mass murders or serial killers or anything, but I tried to write stories about them, and it was supposed to be from a point of view that these people are really fucked up and evil. But I was just, I wrote a book called How to Shoot Up Your School and Get Away with It when I was like 13.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed it to my parents, and they were like, no, you need to get rid of this. This is wrong. And they were concerned that the police would find it and I'd get put on some kind of watch list.
Mm-hmm.
I used to write songs and poetry that were really dark and talked about murder and stuff like that, killing people, killing myself, and I went through what I thought was an emo phase where I was studying myself,
mm-hmm.
and I guess I didn't know that I wasn't doing it for the normal reasons a normal teenager would, because I got a serrated blade. I would be sawing at my skin. And apparently that's not normal.
So you are cutting yourself. You told me before you were a fan of ICP, that you were like a juggalo. You're writing stories about murder. You're writing stories about school shootings. These are all warning signs that I teach. None of this was taken serious, though. They nobody took it like it was serious, did they?
I think that this is probably the worst part for me is I think my parents knew by the time they figured out I was buying body armor and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They were asking my brothers if I bought any guns.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to talk to me about it, but I'd get real hostile with them, and so I think they knew something was going to happen. I just don't think they thought it was going to be them.
Did you ever threaten to kill anybody? Because that's a big warning sign. Did you ever say to your parents, I'm going to kill you?
No, my parents would not have allowed that.
Okay.
That would have, like, they would have made my life a living hell if I had done that. But when I was a later teenager, I had friends, if they were, like, being bullied or something,
mm-hmm.
I'd be like, look, man, you want me to kill this person? I wanted to really badly. I was serious. And
wow.
So there were I wanted to, but not my parents.
That's a warning sign as well. So on July 22nd, 2015, you and your younger brother, it seems like you guys had a plan to maybe carry out a school shooting or a mass murder. Was that one of your fantasies before you did this crime? Were you thinking about being a school shooter or mass murder, breaking the Columbine record? Talk to us about that.
Yeah. I was not really intending for my family to get killed at first, and they just kind of became the first step in this really complicated plot that I was putting together on how I could kill as many people as possible and, like, set records and just horrify millions of people. And my idea was I was going to, like, pick restaurants and schools and movie theaters, go in, shoot it up, then get back in our family vehicle and drive away and become like a serial mass murderer, because I'd never heard that before. So that's what I was trying to do.
But why did you never do that? Like, why did you start with your family?
I still have a hard time dealing with feelings of resentment towards my parents, and so I had kind of a dysfunctional family, and it got to the point where my morals were so gone, and I was so twisted on this idea of killing people that I was like, I'm going to start right here, and they're going to be the first ones. I'm going to find out what I'm made of, and I'm going to kill them. And so, it wasn't even about the kids. They were just innocent bystanders. I couldn't stop myself once I had the bloodlust.
Right. I'm looking at pictures of you and your brother. One of you has darker hair. One has maybe some acne on.
Dirty blonde.
Yeah. Who's who?
I'm the one with the darker hair.
You're the one with darker hair. Okay.
I'm the one.
Gotcha.
I'm the one who's always smiling.
Gotcha. You're smiling. Gotcha. And then there's some photos. Somebody has kind of long hair and glasses in prison. Is that you or your brother?
Yeah, that's me.
Got kind of long.
That's actually really old. That photo's probably about 2.5 years old.
Yeah,
now.
longer hair. Okay.
Now.
And then there was some pictures that came out of you guys, like it might have been like the arrest, like at the arrest, and it looked like maybe they tracked you down with canines or something. You looked like you had maybe mud on your face. Do you remember that?
We were in the woods.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You were in the woods, right?
Yeah, behind our house, and I was trying to get to. Can't remember which river it was. I think it was the Arkansas River. I was going to try to double back to the road, but we never made it that far. I was too tired, so I just laid down in the dirt.
Okay.
And fell asleep until the canines found us. And then when they found us, they stick the canine on my brother, and they pushed my face into the dirt. So I guess that's probably how it got on my face.
So picture it, you're always the one smiling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who died that day?
I've heard stories that maybe one of my brothers and maybe my mom had survived for a little bit longer, into the next day. But by the morning of July 23rd, my parents, two of my brothers, and my sister were dead.
So David, 52, your father. April, 44, your mother. Daniel, 12, your brother. Christopher, 7, your brother. And Victoria, 5, your sister.
No, Christopher wasn't 7. He was 10.
He was 10. Okay, that's incorrect. And Crystal, your sister, was stabbed and her throat was cut and she survived.
Yes.
And then you had a 2-year-old sister who you just... The story says you forgot about her, but I think you decided to let her live, right?
Yeah, I did. I was trying to figure out, because I didn't expect to be caught, I was trying to figure out whether I should leave her with a neighbor, but then I didn't want them coming over to our house to see why she was there, if they recognized her.
Gotcha.
Something about leaving her at a police station. I just didn't know what to do.
You thought you'd initially get away with it, but one of your siblings called the police from like a bathroom, and that's why they were there.
Yes. And one of the things that they were trying to explain to me, my brother's attorney was trying to explain to me, was that he said it sounded like my brother saw me or something and ran away from the phone. And I tried to say, no, that was the phone moving away from him. But the more I think about it, I think, I think him and my brother Michael, Daniel and my brother Michael, had called the police, and they were standing in the kitchen. And when I came back into the house, Michael was still standing there with the phone. My brother Daniel ran and hid, and when I started coming towards him, Michael threw the phone on the ground and smashed it to pieces.
So your dad was stabbed 28 times. Your mom 48 times. But it said your mom also was killed by blunt force trauma. What does that mean? Was she beaten or just stabbed?
No, I don't.
Just stabbed, right?
I don't see how there could be any blunt force trauma.
Yeah, that's what it says. I'm reading just a report on the internet. Mostly everybody was stabbed at least 20 times. Did anybody talk to you during this, Robert? Were any of your relatives saying, don't do this? Were they screaming? Were they fighting back? What was the response of the victims?
Yeah, they were. There was a lot of screaming and a lot of begging for me to stop.
And I think you said something about it when you're doing this. And you see in the movies, if somebody gets stabbed, they fall down and die. In real life, it doesn't work like that, does it?
No, it doesn't. And that's probably the worst part about it, was that they didn't die right away. And I don't know how I continued once I started, but it was even scary for me, and all I wanted was for them to just stop screaming.
That was the worst part.
Yeah.
Do you sometimes, laying in your bed at night, do you sometimes think about that?
I think about it when I'm awake. I think about it in my dreams. I think about them every single day, but I try not to think about what I did. I try to think about the good memories.
Right.
And then when I'm really punishing myself, I think about what kind of lives they could have led if I hadn't killed them.
Are you remorseful for your crimes?
Yes. There was this song that goes, "I have watched the world die. All I know now is regret." And that is so true for me.
What is it like in the midst of stabbing someone? Do they go to the ground? Do you cut your hands? I mean, just explain that. Just what is that like?
I don't really think that's important.
Okay. What would you like to say to the world now? I mean, the media's got all these reports about you, whether they're true or not, but now you've had some time to reflect on this. You're incarcerated. What would you like to say to the world, to parents, to troubled kids who are thinking about following you in your footsteps? What would you like to say to them?
Right. I got to prison, and I was not aware that I was traumatized by what I did, but apparently I was, and it took me a long time to realize why I was having so many troubles functioning and, continuing with my life. I would not want anyone to have to deal with what I'm going through right now. It's like God's punishment for me, and there's no joy to it. There's nothing badass about it. It's really easy to kill someone. There's nothing great about it. But once they're dead, you have to deal with it for the rest of your life.
Yeah, the consequences never go away.
Consequences never go away. It stays on your conscience. And if you don't have a conscience, people are going to use you like they tried to use me to kill even more people.
How could we have stopped you, Robert? What could we have done? What could have been done to stop all this? Like, what should your parents have taken you to counseling? Should a friend have stepped up and, what would have been helpful?
There were so many things that could have stopped me. My parents could have sent me to a mental health facility. They could have called the police once I was too old for them to legally do anything but call the police. They should have. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be legal for anyone who doesn't have a job to buy 3,000 rounds of ammunition and 3 guns. It shouldn't be legal for someone to buy body armor off the internet in mass. If somebody on Facebook tells you that they're planning to kill someone, you should call the police. Mm-hmm. I mean, there were so many opportunities to stop me, and no one did anything. But the worst part is, when you're in that kind of mindset, you're not entirely insane, and you can cover for yourself, at least for a little while, until you get tired of the game and you just snap.
Wow. And you bought guns and ammo. Why didn't you use guns in this crime?
I didn't have the guns. They were at the Broken Arrow gun shop. There's this guy named Pat who had been calling and asking about them. Okay. And he said I could come pick them up the next day. And so that's what I was going to do. The ammunition arrived the following morning after I was arrested, and the guns were waiting for me at the shop.
Wow. So you decided not to wait for the ammunition and guns. Why is that?
Like I said, I got tired of the facade, trying to act like I was still living a normal life. Yeah. I couldn't even eat. That's... Hold on. What is... No, I'm good.
So you were 18 and your brother was 16. He has a life sentence with parole, right? Sounds like he's dealing with someone in the prison.
Hello, this is a prepaid collect call from
Robert Bever.
An inmate at Joseph Harp Correctional Facility. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. This call is not private. This call will be recorded and may be monitored. If this call is to an attorney, the attorney should hang up and dial 405-425-2515 to register this number as a private attorney number. The calling party should hang up and follow facility instructions to register this number as a private attorney number. To accept charges, press 1. To refuse charge, thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
Hey.
Hey, man, what was that all about?
It hung up on me.
Did it really?
Yeah, did you hear what I was saying?
No, say it again.
Okay, this is what I was saying.
Yeah.
People who have never been in that situation, which is pretty much everybody, can say, well, the 16-year-old, my brother, he should have stood up to me. He should have called the police. He should have tried to stop me. That's not something that you should have to expect of a 16-year-old who's never had any friends or anyone who loved him. And he did the best he could, but he was torn between his allegiance for me and his family. And I twisted his mind up, and ultimately he chose me. But he tried. He tried to be a good person. He tried to succeed at life. He tried to be a good brother. But trying to say that it's his fault that it happened that's putting too much on him. He's a good kid, and he didn't kill anyone. I think what they've done to him is wrong.
So he wasn't involved in any of the crime?
He was involved, but he didn't kill anyone.
Okay.
Just one who, I guess, he disabled the burglar alarm when it went off.
There was some kind of a story that he did stab somebody. That's not true then?
No.
Okay.
He didn't even have his knives. He had one knife that I bought him. It was the same brand as all the other knives.
Gotcha.
And it was in our bedroom, and it was completely unused up until I grabbed it when I was grabbing the body armor and everything to run.
So what was his sentence, Robert? What did he get sentenced to?
He got sentenced to 5 lives with parole plus 28 years, all running consecutive.
When will his parole date be?
I don't know when his parole for the first life sentence would be. I guess in 45 years. But they've pretty much ensured that he'll never get out of prison with the sentence the way he has it.
Okay, the way it's set up, he's probably not going to get out.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is prison like for you today? What is it like? Do you work? What do you do to pass the time? Do you get along with other inmates? Do you have to fight? What's it like?
I'm on maximum security. The only time I got off of maximum security, I assaulted someone, so they put me back here, and I'm very comfortable where I'm at. I write books. I got books I've published on Amazon, or in the process of publishing on Amazon. I get along with pretty much everyone down here. Sometimes there's just, on maximum security, the tension is real high because there's nothing else to do but talk shit to someone. So we get into it every now and then, but I've actually never been in a real fight. I've had people who have threatened to kill me or rape me, but they've never done it, so I think I'm doing pretty good.
And you have a girlfriend?
Yes, I do.
So
I love her very much.
You have someone to talk to on a daily basis?
I guess she heard about me from my family up in Illinois, and she started writing to me, and she's been with me all these years.
Wow.
And,
And you tried to kill yourself a couple times. Is that in the county jail or in prison?
I've tried to kill myself several times, and sometimes I've stopped myself. Sometimes fate has intervened, and I've been caught before I was dead. But the 2 times that I got closest to killing myself was once while I was in jail and once while I was here. And then one other time that I was here, twice I tried to hang myself. The other time I cut the crook of my elbow. I was bleeding out, and so I couldn't go through with it though. So I went and I got help.
And you tried to stab a corrections officer, right?
It was a mental health clinician, and they were both civilians who worked in the prison.
Okay. Wow. So you've had quite the interesting time so far in prison.
Well, it's horrible that I have to learn the hard way, what I'm going to do and who I'm going to do it for and who I'm going to do it to. I had sworn when I came to prison I was never going to stab anyone else, and I broke that promise to myself mainly, and I feel really shitty about it.
Did you stab someone or almost stab someone?
I did stab one of them. The other person, when I went to stab him, I wasn't able to follow through with it, so they didn't actually get stabbed. I'm sure it was traumatic for him, though.
So you're in a pretty is it a high secure prison?
It's not as secure as Oklahoma State Penitentiary, which is where I started out.
Mm-hmm.
I spent about a year there.
Is that in McAllister, Oklahoma?
Yeah, and they call that Supermax, and it is just, it's like as much security as you can imagine. I have to get put in chains to walk to the shower.
Yeah, I've been in that prison. Interview a kid on death row back in the day, and it was my very first. Sean Sellers, my very first interview. Sean Sellers.
That's Sean Sellers.
Mm-hmm. That was a long time ago, but yeah, that was my my first interview. Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
McAllister. Mm-hmm.
That was a bad story.
Yeah.
You know, him and Daniel Gonzalez especially. I feel bad for those dudes.
What would you say, our last thing, what would you say to a kid who's thinking about shooting up his school or killing his family? If they're listening to this right now, which he could easily be, or her, what would you say to them? Talk directly to them.
He ain't no badass. There's nothing great about doing this. There's nothing that's going to solve any problems for you. There's nothing that's going to make your life feel more worthwhile. Once you've seen that evil people are just normal people too, then you realize how much of a challenge it is to be a good person and live a good, normal life and help people instead of killing them.
And if you could go back, you would do this another way, wouldn't you?
If I could go back and kill myself before I had a chance to do that, I would. That's how serious I am about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Robert, we appreciate you taking the time today, and I'm sure you and I will be talking more and doing more things together, but maybe give me a call in the next couple days, and we appreciate you taking the time. You're going to be on the podcast and my YouTube channel, and maybe some of your words will help somebody or a parent or another kid who's listening.
I hope so. I haven't got your letter yet with the pictures.
Okay.
But I wanted to ask you if you could do something for me.
Mm-hmm.
Could you send some money to my brother?
Sure. Do me a favor. Call me like tomorrow or the next day. And just call me in the next couple days, and we'll talk about everything.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Sound good?
Yeah.
All right, bud. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Man. Bye. All right. Robert Bever. When I do these interviews, I offer to help them. They offer to help me. Most people don't do this for no reason. Now, some people do, but most of the people want something for talking and doing this. And so I may put a little bit of money on their books or, buy them some clothing or whatever they need. So we kind of cut a deal. And I feel like if they're helping me, I don't mind helping them a little bit with whatever they need. And hopefully that helps you by hearing from them and learning from them. So Robert Bever, family annihilator, teen killer, going to die in prison. His brother, he got hooked up with his brother. His brother got hooked up in the whole situation, and he got a life sentence too. And it's a really bad deal. One of the worst crimes in Broken Arrow history. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Comment, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and thank you so much for being on board. We appreciate it.